This Monday, we're continuing to consider what God says about our offerings. And this particular Monday, we're considering that God commands percentage giving. A good passage to illustrate that is 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 2. There the Apostle Paul said, "On the first day of every week, let everyone set aside a sum of money in keeping with his income." Paul was a traveling missionary who was absent at the time. On this third missionary journey of his, he was collecting an offering for the poor in Jerusalem. It made a lot of useful sense for people when they got together week by week to save up little by little for that offering. And what worked for the Apostle Paul in those days works for us in our day too. Week by week, we set aside a percentage of our income. And do notice that one particular thing, that God does want proportionate giving. From those who have a large income, more. From those who have little income, less. Proportionate. In the Old Testament, sometimes God had people give the same offering, the same sacrifice, but much more often, both in Old and New Testament, God looked for proportionate percentage giving. Now, I usually illustrate that to my catechism class students in this way. I tell them, if you give $40 this week in church, that's probably an exceedingly generous offering on your part. If I give $40 this week in an offering, God would say, "You cheapskate. I gave you a whole lot more than that." Now, you recall that in the Old Testament, the general percentage for giving was 10%, a tithe. That's still a wonderful guide. And it's so simple, right? All you got to do is move a decimal point. Either way, whether we're able to give more or less, we can't take sinful pride in what we give. After all, consider what Jesus gave. He gave 100% of his glory. He gave 100% of his life. He gave all his blood. He gave all his efforts to redeem our lives from hell. And that's what motivates us to give freely and generously to him. Have a great week.